Hemos empezado la grabación. Buenas tardes. En el día de hoy y específicamente en el horario de la tarde tenemos unas presentaciones muy importantes que incluyen unos invitados de honor, que son las personas, estudiantes y profesores de la Institución Educativa Normal Superior de Jericó. Ellos han venido trabajando un semillero con nosotros que empezó con una clase inicial de la profesora Lina Marcela Gutiérrez y he continuado yo a partir del mes de septiembre. Todavía nos resta el resto de martes del mes de noviembre y seguramente el primer martes del mes de diciembre para finalizar nuestro semillero. Hemos querido establecer con ellos y sobre todo estrechar relaciones de cooperación interinstitucional. Y es así como ellos aceptaron la invitación a contarnos su experiencia. Aquí tenemos profesores en ejercicio como son Mario Arriaga y Juan José. Y también tenemos profesores en formación, que son todo el resto de personas que ustedes ven allí, las chicas, Juanita, todos ellos son también profes en formación, pero son normalistas y tienen esa característica tan diciente, que son aquellos que desde muy temprana edad empiezan este proceso de ser maestros. Por eso su intervención el día de hoy tiene tantísimo significado para nosotros como programa, para nuestros estudiantes, para las directivas del programa, para nosotros como profesores, porque vamos a entender de primera mano y a manera de contarnos su experiencia, lo que es para ellos trabajar inglés, las cosas que deben superar, el asunto de la ruralidad. Muchos de ellos están en veredas y lo sé porque en cada clase son, profe, permiso, me debo retirar porque tengo una clase a las 6 y tengo que irme hasta donde haya señal, etcétera. Son unas condiciones diferentes, sin embargo, igualmente interesantes. Y para nuestros estudiantes y como programa es todo un honor y además de honor, toda una experiencia valiosa lo que ustedes tienen para contarnos. Así que sin más preámbulos, los dejo en compañía de mi semillero de la Normal Superior de Jericó, a mucho honor y con mucho cariño. The floor is yours, my dears.
Okay, Professor, thank you so much. Let us share our screen to share our presentation. Can you see our presentation now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Now, yes.
Still loading. Now we do.
Yes.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. In the name of Escuela Normal Superior of Jericó, we want to say thanks to Professor Lina for this special invitation, as well as helping our teacher in practice, in training, in the process of learning and teaching and learning process. I would also like to say that this is a great space that is being created for strengthening their English skills and for have some fun while they are learning English, the language. Our students are motivated and committed to learn the language, and they also have a new opportunity to increase their skills. We want to say also that we are so happy to be part of this group. I want to say personally that I am so proud of my students because they are acquiring a good English level, right?
Right.
Let me go.
So right now, I would like to tell you what for, why have this, I think. Can you listen to me? I guess so. So right now, I would like to talk about the idea and the meaningful experience that we all have. We have a what for. So we really want to transform the current education through a new language. And we want to show our students that being bilingual, whether in English or other language, is always a bridge and a platform that is going to lead you to new opportunities in life. This is not only about getting a new job, because most of them say, oh, we want to become bilingual because we're gonna get a new job. And I think that's really important and that really matters, but this is more about that. This is beyond that. I would say that this is more because as a teacher myself and my colleagues and so, we want them to speak English because they are going to take on the world. And I really like that word, take on the world, because when being bilingual and knowing any other language, you are going to understand the world, you are going to keep in touch with the world, and you are going to build your own empire. This is not only about being able to communicate, this is also being able to touch the world, to keep in touch with the world. And in English, that is an international language, they are going to get it. So the idea of this is basically to make them have the greatest feeling of being able to communicate, to transform, to get new revisions in life. And I am very sure that they are doing it great. And as I always tell them, if it's worth having, it's sure enough worth fighting for. And I really hope that this is going to keep going, because becoming bilingual is going to transform the education of our town and the education of our city and also the country. And somehow that makes me feel proud, my colleagues and everyone in the class.
Sure.
Hello. My name is Jairo. I am in the second semester of complementary training. This is our in the methodological strategy. We have meetings each week on Tuesday, within at 2 hours. Through ludic daily life and recreational strategies. Through allow strengths the 5 components from the language, speaking, reading, writing, listening, and monologue.
So I would like to say something on that, which is very important. Let me please get back to this.
Sure.
So about the teaching and the strategy, we really want to invite our students and tell them the importance of being natural, because most of them are always looking into perfection. I want to sound perfect. I want to be perfect in English, and I want to be like some others. And as a piece of advice I always give, and my colleagues, is to be natural, and to be themselves. This is not about being perfect. This is about being fluent and being able to communicate. So we really want them to have real expressions and real experiences, being themselves, not being perfect, because we are going to make perfect by practice and through practice. So every process is a little step by step to get to that perfection, but actually it's not necessary, because speaking a new language is not being perfect, but also being able to communicate and enjoy the possibilities of communication.
Hello, my name is Juan Fernando. I am in the 4th semester of complementary training. Achieving a close encounter with English language through student situation and improve the conversation competence through simple dialogues, generating creativity, through ludic process, strengthening the language.
Hello, my name is Natalia. I am the 2nd semester on the complementary training. We hope that we will educate our students the right way to be able to communicate efficiently in English. Once they are in the right English level we express. The students who have subgroups to kid practice in English.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Vanessa. I am in the 4th semester of complementary training. Activities we do: songs, games, outside activities, movies, acting shows, speaking practice, recipes.
Okay. Very good. Okay, now we want to show you a short video about one of the activities that we do in our high school. Okay, and this is our official video for our English club. Oh, okay. Oh. We are having some technical problem, but we can solve it. Let me.
I'm sorry, I think you need to check the sharing, compartir con sonido porque no se escucha.
Okay, can
De
you please?
pronto.
Can you please
Cuando
share with the sound?
No, es que cuando ustedes le dan a compartir pantalla, le sale un cuadro de diálogo y en la partecita de abajo hay dos cuadritos que mencionan.
Ahí dice compartir con sonido o con audio.
Ajá.
Okay.
A la izquierda, abajo.
Sí, sí.
Education field.
Perfect.
Wait. But here it doesn't play. Okay.
Hi, everybody. Our normal high school thinks in differentiabilities and in the possibility of growing in different education fields.
And for that reason, today is being taught about the strengthening of the English language competences. And there is a great and interesting strategy for it.
This conversational class will allow students from the complementary training program to develop basic English activities and also learning through activities and more such as
dialogues, role games, walks, daily routine activities, dramatization, songs, and some more multiple ones.
Into a totally fun. Today we will learn the song. The song, remember, in the past class, Little Peter Rabbit, okay? Do you understand me? Yes. Okay. Begin please the song. Remember his lyric. Song. Okay. And you can dance. You can dance. Okay. Little Peter Rabbit had a flying on his ear. Little Peter Rabbit had a flying on his ear. Little Peter Rabbit had a flying on his ear. And he went till the flew away. Okay? Little Peter Rabbit had a flying on his ear. Little Peter Rabbit had a flying on his ear. Little Peter Rabbit had a flying on his ear. And he went till the flew away.
In this English class, we listen to a different language and we don't use our mother tongue.
There, ourselves,
to talk, listen to, and feel the other language.
We discovered that we can do it and we are happy with it. Learning is something that is wonderful.
With our 3 teachers' help, we can learn, improve, and solve doubts.
Okay, guys, so we are playing bingo. Okay? So pay attention, please.
Let's go.
The first, G47. G47.
47, I don't have.
47.
Do you have?
No, I don't have.
No. Okay. The next one, I30. I30.
Yeah.
I30. You got it. Okay. All right. The next one is G55. 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 Okay, you are doing better right now. The next is B12. 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 Yes. Okay, the next one is O62. O62.
Today we are going to get some English vocabulary. Very good. So this one is a rabbit. Rabbit. So take it. Please say out loud. How do you say that word? Rabbit. How do you say? Rabbit. Very good. We have another one. This is a bird. A bird. Very good. How do you say this one? Say it out loud. Bear. How do you say? Bear. Very good. So we have 2. The first, how do you say that one? Show it. Rabbit. And that one? Bear. It's a bear. Very good. Oh, what about this is an ugly animal?
It's an ugly.
Ugly animal. This is a frog. Frog. Very good. How do you say? Say it out loud. Frog. Very good. That is a frog. Oh, we have another one in here.
Okay, donkey.
That is a donkey. You got it.
Like donkey.
Donkey. That is a donkey. Hey, this is a very common one. Very good. Hey, what about this?
Fish. Oh, yes, shark.
This is a shark or
Yes.
is it a fish?
Fish.
Let's say it's a fish for today. So it is a what?
Okay.
Tuna. Okay.
Is that fish or a tuna?
And what about this one? Please pass it to her.
We meet our Tuesday afternoons, and we are autonomous in our own challenges.
So that is why English is very important. It is very well spoken in the whole entire world. It is very studied. You will find native English speakers around the world traveling and in business, and also people who studied a second language like we do. So speaking English is more than simply speaking. It's a bridge of opportunities. You can get to take on the world, which is very important for a professional life, for a private life, traveling life, and way more. So you will never stop learning, and although it might be sometimes a little bit challenging, you are going to give yourself, and it's going to be definitely overwhelming. Why? Because you are going to become the better version of yourself, with English, French, or any language. That's why speaking is worth having and it's worth fighting for. We believe in ourselves.
And in a better world, having quality education and more.
That's why we say,
Long life. To our CPP. English Club.
You want to make the closer? Okay, yes. All right, that was a video that we wanted to share with you. So now we have how is being the interaction with Amigo University and Professor Lina.
It has been a great meaningful experience because I have the possibility to interact with different people who contribute to my cognitive and personal growth. I like to learn English and every day I like to look for some new word and new concept that somehow helps me in my life. English is also the future, and I am so happy for having the opportunity to be in this group where at the end, it will achieve a lot of knowledge in the language area.
Okay, that was our presentation. Thank you so much again for this special invitation. If you have any questions for our students, you are welcome.
It was really, really wonderful what you presented today. Estoy muy, muy agradecida por lo que compartieron con todos nosotros, de verdad. Los estudiantes presentes, mis compañeros profesores y todos ustedes hicieron que este inicio de la cuarta o quinta ya horario que tenemos del webinar que empezó el martes tenga mucho significado, muchísimo significado. Este es el tipo de experiencia que como maestros estamos invitados a abordar, a abrazar y a comprometernos en ellos. Muchas gracias, profe Ángela, profe Juan José, profe Mario, y muchas gracias a todos mis bellos profesores en formación, a todos estos que conforman realmente el semillero que estamos adelantando. Vemos que podemos ver con todo lo que presentaron el gran compromiso que tienen con mejorar su nivel lingüístico y con incorporar ese conocimiento al que ya tienen pedagógico, didáctico y metodológico que les ayuda a ser los profesores que ya son y mucho más en los que se van a convertir. Estoy muy contenta con lo que compartieron y muy agradecida. Thank you very, very much. No sé si alguno de mis compañeros también quiere participar, dando alguna opinión.
Que yo los veo tan divertidos allá jugando. ¿Quién me invita por allá a jugar? Yo también quiero. Me encanta, me encanta que...
Welcome.
Thank you. Me encanta que estén tan como con esas ganas de estar ahí, de estar aprendiendo, de estar haciendo cosas distintas, que tengan tan asumido que el rol que puede desempeñar el inglés en nuestras vidas, que no es simplemente por mejorar nuestra cuestión laboral, sino que eso sirve para muchas más cosas. Me encanta todo lo que han contado aquí hoy. Enhorabuena de verdad y sigan así, cuenten con nosotros. Ya saben que Linita está en el proceso con ustedes y pues seguiremos, ¿verdad?
Claro que sí.
Thank you.
La idea es darle continuidad. Por aquí también está la directora del programa. No sé si ella querrá participar, decir algo.
No, agradecerles infinitamente a ustedes por esta articulación que hemos logrado. Inicialmente a Nilsa, que yo creo que fue una excelente catapulta, digo yo, para que estos procesos se pudieran dar, y luego aparecen estos ángeles, la profe Lina, esa apertura que nos hizo también la profe Lina, que todas se llaman Linas, pero qué belleza. Y maravilloso, los chicos han disfrutado al máximo esos espacios y han permitido que los espacios que tenemos aquí también se enriquezcan. A la universidad, yo sé que está con las puertas abiertas y seguramente esto va a ser también un abrebocas para que nos sigamos vinculando en muchos otros aspectos. Gracias a ustedes que son tan lindas y de verdad que en nuestra sede de Cajón hay una calidad humana que permite que los chicos puedan transitar de manera libre por estos aprendizajes, porque son profesoras de verdad muy bellas. No sé si es que son normalistas, de más que sí.
Algunas sí somos normalistas, otras no, pero sí tenemos como elemento común el querer hacer las cosas muy bien y en vincular poblaciones específicas como las de ustedes. Ese es nuestro propósito. Diane, creo que ya puedes hablar algo al respecto. Diane,
Buenas tardes. No, profe, también agradecerle a ustedes por abrirnos las puertas, por permitirnos aprender de ustedes con todo el trabajo y sus realidades que ustedes realizan. De verdad que para nosotros las normales son unos aliados muy importantes. Entonces, gracias por recibirnos, por estar ahí y por proyectarnos nuevamente para el próximo año con el mismo semillero.
Esa es la idea, continuarlo. Y muchas gracias por participar. De verdad que nos aportaron mucho en este momento del webinar. De verdad que es una experiencia muy bonita, diferente y muy enriquecedora para nosotros y para nuestros estudiantes en general. Tener como la idea de qué ocurre en otros contextos. Muchísimas gracias. Y muy orgullosa de ustedes con lo que hicieron.
¡Divino mi grupo!
¡Hey, Juanita! Thank you so much.
Tan lindos todos. Gracias por estar ahí. Qué ánimo los que...
Qué cansa Julio también tiene uno. Yo le di uno.
Bueno, vamos entonces a continuar con nuestro programa, ya que tuvimos esta maravillosa apertura a la tarde de hoy. Vamos a continuar con la presentación del profe. Ay, se me olvidó. Sí, es del profe Carlos, ¿cierto? Ay, se me olvidó el programa.
No es mía, es de mis estudiantes.
Es el grupo del profesor Carlos
sí,
Augusto Toro.
Sí, muy bien, muchas gracias.
4 adolescentes.
Muchas gracias.
Para que se me activara el micrófono.
Okay, everybody. So thank you very much for inviting us and for letting us be here. So today I have our famous students. I have Billy George Gita, who is going to help us presenting the findings that we got in our class. And also we have Michael Cardenas, who is going to be accompanying Billy on the presentation of this findings. So here I go. I'm going to start sharing my screen so that everybody can see like the findings that we got in our seminar. Okay, so just let me find the presentation, which is somewhere, and it is here. So here we go. And well, Billy, Michael, knock yourself out.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Experiencias Significativas 2021-2, Práctica Enseñanza 4 Adolescentes. So today, my partner, Michael Steven Cardenas, and I, Billy George Gita, are going to present you the essential strategies and adaptations for the English teaching and learning processes in the face-to-face, remote, and hybrid modalities. I want to, before going into the agenda, I want to make some clarification for you, dear audience, and it is the difference that we have regarding those concepts, because usually we tend to confuse virtual with hybrid and remote environments. So before going into deep with this topic, let's keep in mind that when we talk about a virtual environment, we talk about this online site or platform that our students are going to get access to, and they're going to find information, they're going to find activities, and they're going to have some evaluations, for example. The thing here in virtual learning environment is that there is no interaction with the teacher. So it's the student with the screen, the computer, and information, and that's it. On the other side, we have the remote environment in which we have been having during 1.5 years for now, and it is when we are connected through a computer, but we have this interaction with the teachers, right? We have the hybrid environment, which is like a combination between the face-to-face and the remote environments. Here, there's something that those two environments have this present at the same time. So You are in a classroom teaching your students in a face-to-face setting, and additionally, you have the computer, you have your computer on with other students watching and listening to you. That's a hybrid environment. Okay, so I just want to make those clarifications for you in case you don't know, or in order to make a review of it. Moving on, the agenda for today's session is first, we are going to talk about the course objectives and development of this practicum course, the context in which we are going to be focused for the findings that we had from a remote, a face-to-face, and a hybrid environment. And finally, questions that you may have regarding our presentation. Michael?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. So contextualizing our course, these are the 4 essential objectives that we have. Well, the first one is diseñar macroplaneaciones teniendo en cuenta el contexto y el desarrollo de la competencia comunicativa en inglés. Es parte de lo que compone este primer objetivo. El segundo, implementar intervenciones didáctico-pedagógicas tanto en micro como macroplaneaciones coherentes entre sí para llevar a cabo en las clases con los estudiantes. Tercero, elaborar un diario pedagógico que le permita la reflexión, diseño, orientación y mejora constante de sus propias prácticas como maestro en pro del aprendizaje efectivo. Y la idea del cuarto objetivo nos lleva a elaborar o adaptar materiales contextualizados para el apoyo de la clase de inglés y para el aprendizaje del idioma por parte de los adolescentes. Efectivamente, we already have into account all of these essential objectives during our process. We elaborate a lot of class explanations. We have our times for have short reflections about what we are doing or about what is happening during our practicum classes. And also de objetivos complementarios, emplear el lenguaje escrito para dar cuenta de procesos reflexivos y críticos en torno a los temas trabajados en el curso. Y segundo, participar en discusiones frente al contenido de materiales y o tareas asignados como parte del trabajo previo independiente y de acompañamiento personalizado. We already do different things for get all of these objectives. In our context, in our classes, we were with Carlos Toro Bustamante. He was our teacher. And about our schedule, we started every Thursday from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. There were 4 hours continuous, and we were around 16 students in that class. About the catharsis, that was something interesting and very enrichable that we have, and it was because every class we have at least 5-8 minutes for talk about what is happening in our practicum process, talk about our experiences, talk about what did you do in your last practicum, what happened with the students, how was your process for prepare your class, do you think that it could be better? And also after that, our partner talk about his or her experience, as group, we create or elaborate a short period time for help him or help her to improve according to the problem that he have, or to comprehend better the different situations that was our partner was facing. That was the idea of catharsis. Was very good. And also here we have the topics that we developed during the semester: professional development for language teacher, designing effective projects, communicative competence, unit design, lesson planning, fostering motivation and discipline, preventing bullying, and embracing inclusion in the classroom. For these topics, we had some some presentations in groups, in which each group has to have a prepared material to talk about it, to talk about bullying, to talk about how to face bullying in our classes, what we as teachers could do in those scenarios, what are the ideas that the students have if they are bullying. Also, we present some unique designs. The purpose of this course was to present another kind of material, but we elaborate also unique designs. Lesson planning, during some of the classes, we share our lesson plannings, the lesson that we elaborate for our classes. And yeah, we classified all of those elements that were supposed to be good or not. Let's continue.
Okay, so the context. What do we keep in mind in order to do this? It was a poll. We are 16 people in our course, but only 14 people could create this poll. And well, it is the context that we are going to talk about in the following minutes. The location of our practicing agencies, Area Metropolitana, 86%, and other municipalities such as Chocó and San Jerónimo, I think the other one is 14%. Institution, we had public in a 50%, private 36%, and other like YMCA, I think that's the abbreviation for that institution, 14% of our students, of our classmates. The grades that we taught this semester were 6 to 11, being 6 and 11 like the most notorious ones, and also adults. We have some students that were working with adults. The average of students per class is 10 to 40 pupils. The modality we had was virtual, face-to-face, and hybrid. The platforms that we use in order to provide our classes were Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and WhatsApp. And well, for some of us, we also attend to the agency in a face-to-face setting. And the roles that we had during this semester were support teacher, planner, interventionist, and designers. Moving on, we have the findings in these three settings or environments: the virtual, the face-to-face, and hybrid. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, so in our findings, according to this virtual environment, we have these three elements that are the materials, the motivation, and the teacher's effort. So for the materials, thanks to all of this process that we are having according to this virtual modality for around 2 or 3 semesters, there is a big list of virtual materials that are very useful for our classes. So we have like lyrics training, YouTube, Jamboard, quizzes, Kahoot, live workshops, the elaboration of some comics, also edu blogs, Cambridge University tracks. So as you can see, there are a big list of these different materials that actually are helping us to open our mind and to interact with different elements that are from United States, from UK. So that's very, very good. Also, we have here the motivation, the positive reinforcement, and is what we get according to all of these moments, to all of these classes. The final materials or the final resources that we have from our students, that also as teachers, those interactions, those classes tell us that we are doing a good job about the interactions. Although of course the interactions were virtuals, but it doesn't feel like we are very far away, because we have, for example, Jamboard, in which we could interact at the same time. I can see what you are, I can see what you are writing. And of course, you can see what I'm doing at the same time. The idea to have this camera on and our microphones on also help us to interact, to have a very good interaction between us. Okay. For the teacher effort, the preparation, the proper feedback, of course, there were some moments in which we as students, because we are students too, but also teachers, we have some problems with, yeah, with our classes in the university, but also in the moments that we are teaching. So we have these spaces, these moments for create our feedback, our own feedback, but also the moments that we have in our classes was very good. Also, there are some comments in our work as a group. There were some comments that say that the students, there were some good recommendations, some good positive arguments from our students that say that we are doing a good job. So that is part of the teacher effort, but also, and also the idea of that we have to look for new information, to look for new materials, to look for new process to for elaborate better our classes. Let's continue. All of this was about a virtual environment. So now we have here face-to-face setting. In face-to-face setting, there were, of course, a big list of materials. Here we have to think about again what was the common useful things that we used very time ago. So here comes again the flashcards. Here comes the real objects. Here comes again the pictures of our family. So this was like an examples of materials that we use it during this scenario face to face. Also, for example, I was in this face to face scenario, face to face setting, and I already tried to that my students feel what they are doing during the classes. So I asked them for take something that they really love, or to jump during the classes, to talk face to face with your partner, of course, with all of the securities. But that was the intention, and I was thinking like, this is good. I know in the moment that we are, but this is good because they are really enjoying it, being again in a face-to-face environment. And at that moment, all what it was in my mind was to help them to feel again in the idea that we consider normal. But also was difficult for me as teacher because I had to think again in the how can I put this in this board? How what kind of color of the marker could I must to use, if black or red? How to okay, remind again to print the 13 worksheets for give them. Yeah, that was the ideas, the materials, and also with the according to the authenticity. Yeah, here we talk about, of course, the problems that we as teachers have for return to face-to-face classes. Some of my partners say that they didn't feel safe, or even they didn't feel good as teachers because they don't remind how is the role of the teacher in a face-to-face class. So something we feel uncomfortable doing our role as a teacher. So that was something that we shared too. Feeling motivation.
Okay, thank you. So we have the part of motivation, but in this case, not as pretty as Michael was mentioning. We have some other comments from our classmates in which they stated like, okay, my students were not motivated in this face-to-face environment. And I or we felt really bad, but we felt frustrated because, okay, what is happening? Is this transition from the remote environment to face-to-face environment creating a conflict? Let's keep in mind that 2 years ago, one and a half year ago, we had these face-to-face environments, right? And we were learning, and somehow we felt like fish in the water. But then the COVID-19 pandemic happened, and okay, we have to move on to this remote environment. And there we have started like designing all these cool activities. I mean, there are a lot of amazing tools online. And let's say that we have this kind of comfortable bubble. And once we have to go back to these, let's say no, to this face-to-face environment, then okay, how are we going to take all these things, all these amazing things that entertain our students to face-to-face environment in order to by keeping in mind that some of our classrooms don't have the technological devices to make this approach. So this part of motivation, well, it was created in the students because yeah, some students said like, I'm not I don't like your this class. I don't like English, and that hurts, right? But also from the teacher because of this transition from one setting to another. And here it comes an important word, an important concept, and it is adapting, right? We have on this side the group management. That's also another thing that we see a huge change about it because, well, in remote classes, almost all the students have their cameras turned off. They didn't turn on their cameras. So we didn't know what we're doing. Well, are they paying attention to us or either like using their cell phones? Are they eating? Are they sleeping? We didn't know. But once we get into the face-to-face environment, we could see all of these management issues happening in the classroom, okay? Because we can see them now, and we could see how these two students are talking while I'm teaching, or that person is scrolling down to her cell phone or his cell phone while I'm writing something in the board. So this group management was some another big thing that we saw create has a big impact while returning to a face-to-face setting. Now, moving on to the hybrid setting. Remember, hybrid, it is like a combination between face-to-face and the remote environment. I think I was the only classmate that had this type of setting in our course. And well, the materials, there were like, okay, you could bring or create different materials for your students that are using their cell phones or their computers. And additionally, you have to create also materials for the people that are in the classroom. So yes, it is time consuming and it is going to take you a lot of time because there you need to be extremely careful with your lesson planning. And that's one strategy that I would recommend to all of you to keep in mind in these hybrid settings. And it's that be very organized with your lesson planning because you here you are going to have two different environments in one place. So I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, but well, it's worth a try. I tried to do it with both settings, and sometimes it worked in a way that I expected, and sometimes it didn't. And that's how we started, unless myself, I'm talking about here in a personal opinion. In that way, I could accomplish like, okay, I did this in this way, I could do it in a different way next class or later in the future. So we have also the conceptions, teachers' feelings, appreciations that and considerations that happen here. And it is that most of us thought that it is easier to teach in a remote environment than in a face-to-face. And well, it is easier when talking about how dynamic the class could be, okay, and how engaging can it be. And the class delivery, we have this class's complexity and resources issues because, okay, I have my students here in a face-to-face, and people at home, they're having like internet connection issues, or people in the classroom, they're going to have this quizzes activity along with the people that are connected, and there is poor internet connection, or they don't have a cell phone in the classroom, or the device that they have does not allow that kind of activities. So there are a lot of things, of elements that could prevent like the correct development of our classes. And in this hybrid setting, I remember something, and guys, you need to be like really, really focused on what you're doing. Because I remember that I was teaching a topic to my students that were in person. And there was, I had the chance to have this microphone connected to a speaker. And I started talking to them. I asked questions. I love asking questions to my students. So I started asking them questions. And in one moment I was like, oh, the people that are connected through the computer. I completely forgot about them. So yeah, that was at the beginning of the semester. And it is something like really, let's say confusing, because you need to pay attention to the people that are in front of you, and you need to remember that there are also other people who are connected to a device. So hybrid setting, I could consider that it is the hardest one. And well, dear audience, before I mention a concept, and it is adapting. Carlos, can you please move on? And it is adapting, but first, I want to say this special thanks to Universidad Católica Luis Amigo, Practicing Coordination, for allowing this space in order for us to share our experiences and the strategies, and also like what we have done during this semester that could help other people who are listening to us right now. To our classmates and our teacher, Carlos Toro, our practicing agencies and cooperative teachers, all of them. All of these elements here help creating this presentation. Finally, I have this quote for you in order to let you think about it. So it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. Adapting. What do you think about that? Thank you so much for your attention. You have any questions?
Thank you very much for sharing this interesting experience and construct that you built together with your classmates, teacher, and all the analysis and reflections you were able to come up with. I liked it very much, and I can see that it is the result of a very, collaborative work that you did together, and you put everything together concerning the experiences, the positive and negative issues that happened to you during this practicum and semester. I really congratulate you and your teacher. You did very, very well. I really liked it very much. I don't know if there's any other comment, any of the other people here, or if we need to continue now with the other presentation, whatever.
Kelina, I just want to say something short. I just want to congratulate them, to congratulate Billy and Michael for sharing with everybody like the experience, like all the experiences and all the ideas that we shared and that we could construct during this whole semester. A strange semester, difficult semester with all the things like having a lockdown in the middle, being from home, for some of them being at home, being at the in the agencies, but still we got something really really worthwhile. And well, I just want to say again, thank you, Billy, thank you, Michael, for your help and for representing us.
Okay, very good, thank you, and thank you to the students. Okay, now we continue with in the program we have, let me see. Next person or next presentation will be the one of the group of Claudia Suespun. This is Procesos del Aprendizaje del Inglés en la Práctica. And the presenter or the person representing the group will be María Fernanda Arango Salazar. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Renee. And thank you for that introduction and for the wonderful space that you are allowing us to share with you. Okay, so we have now Mafe in charge, who was elected by a unanimous vote by all of her group. So Mafe, thank you again, and the floor is yours.
Okay, so first, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be representing my group from Group 3, Procesos de Aprendizaje del Inglés en la Práctica. And we are going to be talking, I'm going to be talking about our beliefs and our ideals. So we're going to talk about identity and beliefs, but we're going to examine teachers' beliefs according to 5 principles. The idea of whether beliefs are dynamic or they are static, or if some of them are dynamic and others do not change. The idea of that teachers' beliefs are determined by society and influenced by social premises. Also, how teachers' beliefs determine our actions in the classroom and outside of it, that teachers' beliefs cannot be imposed on others, and the idea that teachers' beliefs need to be challenged. So first of all, just a clear, I just want to mention something at the beginning of this presentation. I hope that this presentation creates more questions than answers. This presentation will not answer any questions. It will probably only create more doubt, but that is precisely the point of this, that we leave this presentation thinking about what is identity, what are beliefs, and what are the purposes of both of these concepts. So identity is a very broad subject that has a lot of academic and research behind it. However, if we would like to determine identity, we can identify these constituent elements. So first of all, identity is composed of intrinsic perceptions, which is how we perceive ourselves by understanding who we are, what we like, what we don't like, how we behave in certain situations, and how our past affects us. Now, opposed to this, we have the extrinsic perceptions. So how do others perceive us? Now, this is something that feeds into each other. because how other people perceive us also influences how we perceive ourselves, and how we behave with our own being. That also determines how other people look at us. Then we can talk about personal experiences. So our childhood, how we grew up, what was our family like, what type of experiences that we have when we were little, when we were adolescents, yesterday, what type of experiences that we have. Also our personality. This is something inherent that we are born with, and each of us are unique in that certain way. We also have values and beliefs. This is something that is constructed throughout our entire lifetime. And it is also influenced by our personal experience and our upbringing. Then identity is also composed of collective formal knowledge. So this is something that we are educated in. It's not something that we can precisely control because it's something that we are taught. So it can go something from as simple as the theory of gravity up to more subjective opinions that govern our day-to-day life. And then we have imaginary constructs, which are composed of our desires, our ambitions, our dreams, who we want to become. Now, let's start with the first premise. So we have, are beliefs dynamic or are they static? Now, in the group, we determined that there are certain beliefs that definitely change, while there are other beliefs that probably don't change and probably shouldn't change. So when we talk about beliefs, unavoidably, we're also talking about identity. And our identity is something that is continually evolving and continually transforming itself. It is something unavoidable, which is one of the reasons why it is so difficult to answer the question, who are we? Who are you? We probably don't know because I'm not the same person that I was yesterday. So just like Felipe said, our beliefs not only change us and define us, but they also break us. So they are determinant as to who we decide to become. Like Diego and David said, our beliefs are transforming, molding, and we also base our beliefs on the needs that arise in the classroom. So when we're talking about teacher identity, it is something that we have to recognize that is being constantly reformulated depending on the context that we find ourselves in. Now, this leads us to one question and to a certain dilemma. So first of all, we're talking about beliefs, but it's important to question ourselves as to what is the purpose of believing? So why is it important to have beliefs? Why can I just go along my life without having to believe in something? So as I said, this is something that is a question that is open and that is subjected to each of you. However, this also leads us to the dilemma of the fact that if our identity needs to be coherent, it needs to be stable, then how can we talk about dynamic beliefs? If our beliefs are constantly changing and our identity is constantly changing, then how can we have a stable ground? How can we actually say that we have become just one person and this is me? So when we're talking about teacher identity, we need to recognize that our beliefs and conceptions help us as teachers to control the doubt or ambiguity that may arise in the practice. So once again, it is another question that arises is, do we have several identities or do we just have one identity that behaves differently in different contexts? So when teachers leave the classroom, do they have a social identity, a personal identity? And when they enter the classroom, do they have a teacher identity? Okay, so this is something that, of course, I don't want to pose the idea that we have a multiple personality disorder, but it's something that is worth investigating and thinking about. And just like Juliana said, if we're talking about being a teacher, we need to evolve and we need to recognize that we have to be flexible. We have to adapt, just like the group that from teacher Toro just manifested. It's not the fittest that survive, but the one that is able to adapt to change. So are we allowing our identity and our beliefs to change? Or are we forcing ourselves to just remain static? Now let's continue with the link between identity and society, which is, let's say, a little bit complex and controversial. So identity and society, we are influenced by what society demands of us. If we're talking about teachers, of us as teachers and as future teachers, we have a duty, like Andres mentions. We have a duty as educators, and we have to set an example. So our beliefs, Carolina mentions that our beliefs are part of who we are. They are the construction of our identity and an important part of the formation of our world view. So this is why it is important to also strike a balance between the influence of society in our identity and also how we allow our identity to influence society. So when we refer to our duty as teachers, we need to recognize that we are not in charge of only teaching. We are in charge of human beings. So we have a huge responsibility with society, with others, and with ourselves. So this also raises the question about whether there is a need for consistency in identity and in our beliefs. So we have two, we could call them extremes. We're talking that identity is ever changing and beliefs are ever changing. However, we are also talking about, like David mentions, that our personality should match our beliefs in order to provide coherent understanding, judgments, and evaluations during our teaching practice and in life in general. So how do we strike a balance between allowing ourselves to change, but at the same time being coherent? So this is something that is incredibly difficult to determine. And as mentioned before, there is no determinate answer to this question. However, we also need to think about the example that we are posing as teachers. Like Juan Pablo mentions, we cannot teach if we don't put in our example of who we say we are and who we decide to become. So if I am trying for my students to be responsible, I need to show that I am a responsible teacher. If I am, well, we do not demand respect, but if I expect my students to be respectful to their classmates or outside of the classroom, then I need to show respect, because at the end of the day, children do not do what they're told. They do what they're modeled. So it's something that we really have to think about when we are determining our identity. We have to, when we enter each classroom, when we are outside of the classroom, we have to think about who we are. Is that in line with my values, with the principles that I am trying to foster in the classroom and to foster with my students? Now, the third component is teachers' beliefs determine our actions in the classroom. So Daisy tells us that our beliefs guides our walk, our feeling, our thinking, and even our projection on others. Now, we've all experienced this, our projecting certain feelings, certain thoughts on somebody else. And in the educational environment, as Carolina said, it is important that to think of our beliefs as that which drives us to do things from conviction. So as Christian mentioned a couple of slides ago, he said that each of us are unique. And this is linked to the components of personality, of an identity. The fact that each of us might share some beliefs, but each of us are completely original and unique, and we cannot be compared in any way. So it is important to know that my beliefs are going to be particular to the actions I'm going to carry out in the classroom. So I will not carry out the same actions that Carolina is going to do with her students, because she has different beliefs and therefore different convictions. Now, Maria Jose points out a very important idea, which is that beliefs have a strong influence on the methodologies and strategies that we use in class. So that is why delving into those teaching beliefs would allow us to generate reflection processes on our teaching practices. So if we are talking about, and we are proposing the idea that we need to become more adaptable, more flexible, more modern, forward-thinking teachers, then we have, in order to change that, we have to evaluate what beliefs do we have. Because when we delve into those beliefs, we delve into our identity, and therefore we determine our actions. Just like that famous quote from Eleanor Roosevelt that says, if you change the way you think, you change the way you speak. If you change your words, you will change your actions. And if you change your actions, you will change how you, who you are, your personality. And when you change who you are, you change your life and that of others. So in the classroom, Maria Paula also poses the idea that beliefs are extremely important for students to learn who the students are and also to maintain a high level of motivation. Now, when we're talking about identity, our beliefs, who we are, these are all extremely existential questions, and we will probably never find a concrete answer to these questions. However, allowing ourselves to think about these and asking ourselves questions is extremely important for us to develop metacognitive skills, thinking about our thinking, learning about learning, thinking about how we learn, which is, after all, some of the principles that we try to instill in our students. So if I am able to apply use those skills in my own life, I will be able to model this for my students. And students will then, in turn, be able to apply this in their life. So if I take the time and the effort to think about who I am and what I believe in, I will take the time to know my students and who they are, what do they need, how do they feel, did they learn, did they understand? So it's something that is definitely something that has to be done, not for our benefit, but for the benefit of our teaching practice and for the benefit of our students, who are, after all, why we are all here. Now, the fourth component is extremely interesting because it's talking about the fact that teachers' beliefs cannot be imposed on others. Now, easier said than done, because we have all done that. We all think that we are right, that we are correct. So, and it's very easy to enter a discussion with somebody else and try to persuade them that they should think like we do, that we are correct and they are wrong. However, when we decided to become teachers, we have to recognize that we have an extra responsibility and we need to be more aware of when we behave in that way. So, like numerous of my classmates mentioned, Daisy says, our work as teachers is not to impose what we believe is correct, but to guide students towards erudition, virtue, and piety, like Comenius supports. Also, Laura mentions that we must understand our students, their cultures, their beliefs, and we must try not to impose ours. And Gabriel touches upon the dialectical nature of our labor, which is that we need to encourage a discourse that is based on experience, practice, reflection, and deep study. Now, as I said, it is very difficult in some occasions, not to impose our beliefs on others because we believe we are right. We've probably believed something for our entire lives. And when it comes a moment, especially in the classroom, when we are faced with that particular student that triggers something in ourselves, we are confused, we are anxious, we are probably frustrated and even angry. But it is very important to recognize that we do not have control over other people's beliefs as much as we would like to. And even if someone is incorrect on something that is universally acknowledged, we cannot change that, not as human beings and not even as teachers. The only thing we can do is use our beliefs and our strength of knowledge in our beliefs to guide students towards the correct path and to model that behavior, that attitude that is going to motivate them to want to change, to be someone better. But unfortunately, we cannot force students to become someone or to believe in something that they do not believe in, even if they are incorrect. And it is not our duty, and neither we don't have the control over that. Now, in the end, we've been talking about the change of identity, the change of beliefs, and we recognized as a class that in the end, our beliefs have to be challenged because we are never going to finish determining who we are and what we believe in. And given the constant state of change in the society that we live in, we're going to be faced with new challenges every day, and especially in education, which is changing so rapidly. And given the students that every generation are completely different. So Juan Sebastian mentions that teachers need to develop a discourse that has a language of criticism, that we need to create the conditions that allow students to become citizens with knowledge and appropriate values to fight for changes. So as mentioned before, in the impossibility of imposition, we cannot impose our beliefs on others because also we cannot think that we have the correct beliefs for everyone. Each person has different beliefs, but what we do need to instill in students is the capacity for critical thinking and reflective thinking, so that students are able, just like we are doing right now, to question who we are and who they are and what they believe in, and whether that is actually serving a purpose for their own benefit and for the benefit of society. Now, Carolina also mentions that what we believe is right for our training and for the training of students will make us work towards progress. And David also mentions that he really hopes that every one of us keeps on challenging our beliefs, and especially concerning our worth as teachers. And this leads us to one of the main ideas of this presentation, and the fact that despite our differences in our identities, in our beliefs, we all have a common goal, and especially because we're all here for education. We're all here to become teachers, or some of us are already teachers. So, but we are all trying to strive for the progress of society, for the benefit of others, so that our students can grow up in a better world than the one that we grew up in, and they face challenges differently. So I think that despite the differences, in those moments when we are faced with frustration or with difficulties, with the beliefs of others, with the identities of others, it is important to acknowledge that we are all here for the same reason. And that after all, we're not looking for perfect identities. We're not looking for immaculate beliefs, because after all, they don't exist. We're looking for authenticity. So like for decolonial identities that are true to who we are and to who we want to become. So we would like to thank you in the name of our group. We would also like to thank our teacher, Claudia Marcela. Thank you very much for your time, your dedication, and all of your love that you have given us, because truly this wouldn't have been possible without you. And we know you're going to smash that PhD. So thank you everyone for your attention. Thank you to my group, and any questions or feedback, we are more than welcome to hear them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria Fernanda, for your excellent presentation, for representing your group very, very well, and your teacher, Claudia Suescun. I think also those reflections and constructs that you were presenting were really very interesting, and I know that it's just the result of what you did all together, because you even mentioned your classmates' names. So it's really interesting, and thank you very much for representing your group in such a good way. I think Gloria is going to say something, or are you just getting ready for your following presentation? Okay, so thank you really very much, very much. Mm-hmm. Of course.
Well, if I may, I would like to thank, of course, Maria Fernanda again for representing the group, but also each student in this group, because the exercise that we did in order to reach these ideas that Mafe presented for you, they were ideas that were collectively built and that were reflected all semester long. So I'm just delighted to see that we are, that these teachers are becoming reflective, self-critical, and wonderful teachers that are constantly rethinking who they are, what they want, and what do they want to achieve in their classrooms. So thank you, Mafe, and thank you for the rest of the group for a wonderful exercise.
Very good. Thank you very much, and really very, very good work. Okay, and last but not least, we have the presentation on the group of Gloria Arboleda. This is Práctica de Enseñanza 3, and she, viste, ahora sí me acordé. Thank you, es que estaba como tan, Okay, and well, we are going to listen to what they have to share with us. Remember to fill in the attendance format. I will place it again so that those who joined late, just some minutes ago, are able to watch it. Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Lina. Hello, everybody. Without further ado, this is the last presentation of the day. I want to introduce Darwin Davida and Maria Alejandra Zuluaga. They are going to present the conclusions that we drew in our group, Práctica de Enseñanza 3 Adolescentes, regarding the process that we lived all through the pandemic and this sanitary emergency that started in 2020, and we're still pretty much on. And we are going to focus especially on describing the transitions that we lived from one stage to the other, but we want to really emphasize on what are we taking and what are we going to bring to the classrooms after this crisis that made us change many things. So Maria Alejandra and Darwin, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Thank you.
Gracias, María.
Could you? Thank you. So before we start, I want to read this quote to you, and it's the students of the future will demand the learning support that is appropriate for their situation or context. Nothing more, nothing less. You can go on. Okay, so this is our topic, strategies and fundamental adaptations for the learning and teaching processes of English in the face-to-face, remote, and alternating modalities. Okay, so about us. We are about 20 people in the course. Here we have our context, some of our context. We have 2 students in rural schools, 3 students as intern teachers, 2 students at their workplaces, 1 student at an after-age school, 3 students with extracurricular activities, 1 student at a language academy, and 6 in secondary private schools. You can move on.
Okay, in this point, we are going to give like a general description about the course. So I'm going to read the, the objectives, which are design macro planning taking into account the development and the communicative competence of the English language. Implement didactic pedagogical intervention, both in micro and macro planning coherent with each other. Okay, wait, give me a second. Yes. Coherent with each other to carry out in classes with students. To elaborate a journal that allows reflection, design, orientation, and improvement of their own practices as a teacher. And elaborate and or adapt contextualized materials for the supporting of the English classes and for the teenagers' learning process of the English class, English language. I'm sorry. And right now we have what's going on. Yes, and these are the topics that we developed during our course, which are elaboration of pedagogical journal following the format, conceptualization of adolescents in the macro educational context of Colombia and language policies, didactic pedagogical intervention, classroom practices and their relationship with theories of language learning, and classroom management strategies with adolescents groups. The materials. Go ahead.
Okay, so how did we get here to the conclusions? Go ahead. Teacher Gloria divided the session into 4 parts for us to create and get to these conclusions. The first part of the class was the teacher's introduction. She explained the topic, she talked about the topic, and then we went to a group discussion and we shared ideas. And the third step was that we prepared a short presentation. And then the final one, we all presented the strategies and fundamental adaptations to each other. You can go on.
I don't know what's happening. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, right now.
Okay, so these are the strategies and adaptations. Go on, thank you. The first one is teacher training, and teacher training through a variety of platforms and formats with the use of technology, and that platforms and or formats or online formats facilitate us the educational processes. Then we have alternative options, adaptation to online technologies. For example, Class Dojo, Jamboard, Nearpod, and these also means to adaptate the contents and the topics and the activities to those students who have issues in, like, when they were going to get to the classes, and using another alternative platforms, for example, WhatsApp, for they to deliver their activities, or for them to watch the recording of the classes. The third one is readapting the contents and prioritizing information. And is that we as teachers must integrate the contents of the class and learning objectives into interdisciplinary thematics. And the fourth one is academic and mental health management. This one was very important in our conversation, in our group discussion, because it's crucial for us to be healthy and have a great academic management. We had to give space and students to the students within the classes, for them to express themselves, for them to change those negative thoughts and build an empathy between them. You can go on.
So the second, the second field in this presentation is from remote to alternation. So the first one is here, hybrid classes lessons. And we have some questions that are going to guide teachers to think about how they have to improve, or yes, to improve their activities inside the class. And those examples of those questions that are going to guide teacher are the students going to be connected online? Are they going to be doing the same activity working from home? And how to avoid online students becoming invisible. So in that case, is that teacher has to think about those strategies that can help students from house and students that are going to be in classroom to develop the activity in the same conditions. The second one is time management when applying the biosafety protocols. So the teacher had to think about the time that he or she has to invest during the class to implement those biosafety protocols. So at the moment to plan for the class, we have to take into account that we have to use a space and amount of time to implement biosafety protocols. The third one is rethink activities. In this part, the teacher have to think to think about those strategies or those activities to first reactivate the students, because in remote classes, they were so inactive. And we have to think about those strategies and activities to reactivate students, but in the classroom. And in the same point, we have that some students are going to be very excited for coming back to the school. So we have to develop strategies according to that aspect inside the classroom, because most of them want to share their experiences during the pandemic. They want to talk about many different things. So we have to, again, call their attention, but in the class. And the last one is to review classes habits and behaviors. And in that point, we have some example like note-taking, motor skills, and groups in interactions. So we have to reactivate all those behaviors and habits, but in the class. Go ahead.
Okay, these are the ones we should keep to combat to face-to-face education. The first one is interactive online tools. And we talked about creating a bank of resources, online books, videos, flashcards, audios, audiobooks, games, activities, etc. And the second one is use of the online platforms and tools. The use of the email, the meeting platforms. For example, there are students that they have work to do and they can get together because one has to do another things, and they can use meeting platforms as Zoom. The third one is emotional caring. Again, we think this one is very important. We have to keep caring about our emotions. How do we handle management? How do we handle the classes? How do we handle the students? How do we handle planning? And how do we handle the families? And the fourth one and final one is family involvement. We need that families keep involved with the students and keep accompanying the students as they did in remote education.
Okay, thank you so much. And if you have any question, guys, let us know, please.
Well, I want to thank you for the presentation you have shared. I think you did very, very well, and it reflects the general work you did all together, the construct that was built in the classes and in the time you had for preparing it. So I think you did really very well, as all the other presentations have been. I also liked all that organization you had for dividing everything in topics and be able to not only present difficulties, but also think of the possibilities of improvement, which is something very important. So Gloria and your group of learners, not only Darwin and Maria Alejandra, of course, they presented and they are the ones with the biggest part of the responsibility, but also to all the group, my very sincere congratulations. I really liked it very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to add that this was a very constructive session. We allotted one session to discuss the topic and to do the construction in group. And it was a very important moment, like to make peace with everything that we had been living during this year and a half, and not think about regretting what had happened or what we had lived, but think positively about it. And let's, okay, so what we had to do can we take on, right? What can we take advantage of and move into our face-to-face scenarios after the pandemic? And it was very important for us to see that even like most of them are in this moment in face-to-face scenarios. Even if the biosafety protocols and all of those other things have changed, the essence of teaching and being with the students was there, and we just needed to strengthen processes, right? We discussed a lot, something that Diana has said, that Claudia has said, something that I have emphasized a lot to them too, and is that education cannot go back to what it was before the pandemic. And not only because it changed who we are, and as Maria Fernanda was saying in the previous presentations, we are not the ones that we were 1 year and a half ago, but because we learned many things, and we cannot leave those things behind, and we have to take advantage of those things. And that's why the emphasis that we wanted to make was when in the last part, like, what are we going to take from this experience and continue to use during our face-to-face classes. So I want to thank Maria Alejandra and Darwin. I know it was a big challenge for you in for different reasons. It was a very big challenge, but I appreciate, and I know, and I've seen from the comments in the chat, I know your classmates are very proud of you too. So thank you for representing us so very well.
Thank you.
Yes, because you really did. It was very, very good. Thank you everyone for staying until the end, for listening to everybody who had something to share with us, for also being respectful and appreciating what every group of people did, because that was obvious not only in those who were able to participate saying something, but also in the chat, the comments you had there. So I really liked this specific afternoon a lot, because we have different issues. We had the first participation from the Escuela Normal Jericó, but also these other 3 presentations on practicum, different courses on practicum, and you all did very well. And the reflection and the construct in each case was very interesting and enriching for our process. So thank you very much. Remember that tomorrow we will begin at 8. The first presentation will be from the practicum coordinator UDA in the Escuela de Idiomas, Dr. Claudia Diaz Mosquera. And after her, we will have some presentations on practicum. I remember that there is one Roles from the second Roles group from Liliana Maturana. We will also have people from like Professor Caterine, Professor Jennifer, because they also, oh, thank you very much. ¿Quién me está haciendo ese favor? Es que yo soy como tan olvidadiza. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, so we have, tomorrow we have the presentation on Claudia Diaz Mosquera. Later we have Jennifer Cano, Catherine. We have also Práctica Enseñanza 5, Professor Marcela Gutierrez. Then we have Claudia Suescun's group on Práctica Enseñanza 3. And we will have the whole group of Práctica 4, Professor Blanca Montoya. And finally, we finish with Liliana's group, which is the second group of roles she has in this semester. So we cordially invite you to join tomorrow if you can, sorry. And remember, tomorrow afternoon, we have no activity because this other activity that is being presented here on the screen belongs to Saturday, which of course you are also welcome to join on Saturday. This schedule and Saturdays are coherent for many of you. So in that case, we have Professor Elizabeth, who is the other practicum 4 teacher. Later, we have Jeanette with her Práctica Enseñanza 2. Then we have Roles from Professor Adriana Diaz. After that, we have one of the graduate students from the program, Diana Ayala, who will be talking about her Historia de Vida. And we will also have a group presentation from Professor Claudia Uribe Hoyos. Later, after that, we have Seila's presentation, she is the teacher of Práctica de Enseñanza 1 on Saturday. And finally, we have 2 important presentations from Trabajo de Grado or Maestro Investigador. One is the group of Professor Leslie Lopera, and the other one, just to finish the webinar, will be Marlon Vanegas and his group of Trabajo de Grado 1. So I cordially invite you to join. Remember, tomorrow morning or Saturday morning, and none of those 2 days have presentations during the afternoon. So babies, thank you very much. I am really very tired, but very, very happy of everything that people have been doing. I am really very, very happy with everything that all the groups, the teachers, and everyone have been able to present. Thank you very, very much. Bye-bye.
Profe, tan linda. Ay, María.
Danielito. Okay, see you tomorrow on Sunday. Lori, ya evalué lo que me demandaste. Yo tengo ya la grabación. Detener.